So if we continue to look at our 2-point perspective boxes with rounded edges, we'll take this to a further extreme. So what we're going to do is we're going to sketch out a very tall 2-point perspective box. So I'm going to, just for this purpose, turn my page round. So we're going to sketch along a line here, okay, which is going to be our corner. Then I'm going to, as previously, sketch my V shape for my lines to my vanishing point. It doesn't matter that those vanishing points are way off the page. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on a couple more vertical lines for the sides of this box. Okay, so we'll do a line going up here, and of course what we're trying to do is get pretty much parallel lines. So then we're going to decide on where the top of the box is. So we'll get our center line here, our corner line. I'm going to make a mark on there. So we'll just put a point on there. And then what I'm going to do is again flatten out my perspective line. So let's flatten it a little bit more, perhaps something like that. Okay, going across there. Okay, like so we can see a difference. Let's flatten it out on this side. Okay, as though those are going to meet somewhere. If the angle is wrong, then let's flatten it out a little bit more. That looks like a better line. Okay, more of an angle. You can clearly see that they're going to meet. Then the top, okay, so what we're trying to do, there's our other line, so we need to be flatter again than this line. So from here, okay, something like that. And then finally from this line here, going across. So we're just going to come across like that. So that gives us the top of the box and the bottom of the box, okay? And if I were just to put the bottom of the box in, you can see on here just something roughly like that, and I could of course do a vertical line at the back of the box. But what I want to do now is I'm going to sketch a smaller box at the top here, okay? So I'm just going to use these lines and actually draw parallel lines, pretty much parallel lines. So I'm going to add almost like a lip or an inner top part of my box. So we'll just add that on here, add it on here, and on the back. Okay, something like that. So we've got a smaller box, and as before, just going to find the center point. Okay, so this is our center of the top box. So we've got the bottom of the box here, and we've got the top of the box here. So what I'm going to do is just join those together. So I've got this corner point here now. So what I want to do is just draw a straight line. Let's do the same on this corner to this one. So we're going to sketch our line, something like that. And of course we've got our corner here coming down to our original corner. So we're trying to create a tapered shape. Now what we'll do is we'll look at what we've done just before, which is the rounding of the corners. So I'm going to get our new top of the box here, and on this corner here, I'm just going to add a round. Okay, so we'll add quite a bigger round at that point. And then we're going to get to the back corner, and we'll add a round onto the back. We're going to come across over here, okay, and again, just like on this side, we'll add a bigger round over there. So now we've got the top of our box here, as you can see, and we've rounded the edge apart from our front corner. So our front corner, we'll put the round in, but this is where we would use marker pens, and this is where we would have our light line, okay? Because what we're trying to do at this point is have this molded or this rounded shape. Let's do the same for the bottom of the box. So let's just follow our line and round that outer corner. Let's do the same on this one. So I'm just going to turn my page round because it's more natural. We're going to round this bottom edge as well. And then finally, we'll round our front corner. So here's our front corner that's rounded. Now notice at the moment, I'm not doing anything with these parts in between the rounds. I'm leaving them and the longer lines because we're actually going to modify those. Trying to get it away from this looking like a block all the time. So this is our front corner, but of course we've got this quite bold line in here. Ideally we don't want that. What we actually want is from our round at the top and from our round here at the bottom, this is where we'd have our light line. So actually we would have lines, and they would get slightly thinner as they get towards the top, like so. So then the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to try and add a bit more creative or organic form to here. So instead of keeping the line straight, we're just going to add a curve on here, on the bottom, to try and change the shape overall. And then we'll add a cut in just because we can, and it'll make it look a bit more interesting as a shape. So what I'm going to do is just turn my page around, just like so, and I'm just going to add a small curve in here, okay, between those two rounded points. I'm going to spin that round. We'll do the same on this side. Okay, so we're going to add a curve in. Now notice the way that I've moved my page round so that the arc that I'm sketching is this way, which is a more natural kind of pivot point. I've come too far in here from this round here, so I just need to modify and adapt my line, something like that. And I don't want to press too hard at the moment because I'm going to make a change here. And then finally, we'll do the same a little bit on the bottom here. So we're going to come in and out. Same on this side. So we're changing the form perhaps a little bit more. We could, if we wanted to, actually ignore our corner point here. We can actually bring this a lot further out and join it over here if we wanted to. For this one right now, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to add a little bit of our light line in at the top of the box here, and we'll do a little curve there for our light line at the side. And so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to finish off with adding a cut. Now we can add a cut in this side or this side. It doesn't matter how you decide to do this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add, I'll do it on this side in this case, I'm just going to add a little cut here. So I'm going to do a line that's going to cut up onto this point. When it gets here, we'll actually make it curve round the object as well. So we'll curve round following our rounded shape, which will actually help map this surface. And we'll just go following our perspective probably now. We'll do it as though we're cut going this way, but I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm just going to go part way. And then I'm going to add a second one. I'm going to deliberately do it so it's not parallel, so it's underneath here. And we'll add another curved line, go into our round shape. Let's get that curve, mapping the surface. And then we'll have this one coming up a little bit, something like that. Hopefully you can see that. And then I'm just going to finish that with, I can either do a vertical line here or I can map the side of my object. So we'll do something like the side, so we've got the same kind of contour shape. Now what I'm going to try and do is make this look as though it's like some material that's been removed. So for that to happen, what would happen here is that this line would actually just move inwards slightly because there's material been removed. So we'll get that same line, we'll follow it, a bit darker there, but it's going inside. Because we're looking down in 2-point perspective at this object, we could see the inside of this lip here. So what we will do is we will add a thickness of material by following the line that we sketched before. We're going to go round this corner and to this side over here. And because in 2-point perspective, we would see the inside of this side, we will copy that line there, okay? And we would have our line to join the inside. So we've started to modify our form. So let's just pencil this in a little bit harder so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I've got this corner, will come down with a weight of line. So I'm just going to press a little bit harder now to have a darker and sharper line to show my sketch. I'm going to turn that round. So darker and sharper to define the line. Okay, to here. If we turn that round again, you should be able to see that. Then we'll just add in on the side. We'll come back to define our line here. So darker here. And then, of course, what's going to happen is we're going to go back to our original line and we'll round that little corner. okay, and we're just going to define this round to the bottom of our object. So all we need to do now is just make sure it's clear that we have a thickness of material. So we're just going to add, we're going to keep this line quite light and a little bit more delicate, but this line on the inside can become a little bit harder because it's where two surfaces are meeting, and there'll probably be a little bit of shadow. So we're just going to add it in. It doesn't matter if the thickness changes a little bit, this is just a sketch. And lastly, I'll just add in here, just to define that bit, pressing a little bit harder, spin it round, something like that. And you can see now, it looks kind of like we've got a cut going into our work. Of course, at this point now, we can start, well, we could start to, normally we'd probably add a bit of marker and tone to make it look a bit more 3D. If I just very quickly with a blue pencil, just add in a little bit of shadow, just to show as a different material. That's kind of the effect that we can achieve by starting with a 2-point perspective box and breaking the box down.